Hello everyone, Republic Jim here. I'm out on the property enjoying this beautiful day today. It's the week of Thanksgiving and I have the entire week off of work, mainly to try and get caught up on some of the projects I need to do at home, including firewood and winterizing, adding insulation, and doing various projects like that. But I had to get out and get some exercise and some fresh air, enjoy the sunshine while it lasts. As you can see, we have some snow here. The other day we had probably 7 to 8 inches of fresh snow, but then it warmed up right away and it's melting away quickly. Right now it's a few degrees above freezing and snow's getting pretty slippery and slushy again. So I wanted to do this before it got too wet and nasty. But what I wanted to talk about today is the concept of functional fitness. I've discussed it a couple of other times in different videos, but it's something that still gets a fair amount of traction on YouTube and other social media. And there's all sorts of definitions of what exactly that is, you know, what makes your training functional. You know, I'm not going to try to get into debating definitions or giving the various conflicting ones, but just to make it really simple, my definition, or you know, just a general idea of what I consider functional fitness anyway, is just training to be physically prepared for any sort of tasks in everyday life that you might need to do, just to be stronger and move better and make all those physical tasks easier to deal with. And you know, the way I see it, it's just that simple. There's a lot of complicated systems out there, and the people that are pushing those things will try to say that barbells are useless and various other things. They all have their magic system that you have to do, and you know, I just don't buy into that. I think there's all sorts of things you can do to improve your overall fitness and just to make everyday tasks easier. And a lot of different implements and things have their place. I will say on that point, I need to somewhat agree with Mark Ripito, which pains me a bit to say, because for the most part I think he's very dogmatic and just close-minded, but he makes the point that just getting physically stronger makes you better at everything, and up to a point I agree with that. Of course, then he goes on to say that pretty much that barbell's the only way to do that, and discounts every other form of physical training. And where I do totally disagree with him is that his whole emphasis is on getting stronger, and he really doesn't put anything into conditioning, you know, any kind of endurance and such. And I suppose that's great if you're doing powerlifting or just doing things for very short duration. But as far as functional fitness, there's many things that you may need to do in everyday life that require some endurance, and being able to exert a fair amount of strength for a more extended period of time is very beneficial. So yes, by all means, get stronger, and you know, everything else being equal, if you're stronger, it'll make things easier for you to do. But it's, you know, that everything being equal is an important thing, because, you know, if you just bulk up and go for maximum strength, but you get winded walking up a flight of stairs or trying to tie your shoes, then that's really far from ideal. You need to have that balance of strength and conditioning and flexibility, mobility. Wow, another tree down here. Anyway, I've talked in the past about how functional it is to ruck, which obviously I'm doing now. And even though it looks like my sleeping bag is falling off my pack here, it is actually secured well. It's just the top of the pack tends to flop over. But anyway, but rucking is definitely what I consider the most functional of any training, just because the vast majority of things we're going to need to do physically in life involve moving frequently with a little bit of weight. And you know, there's a reason that the military really emphasizes rucking and, you know, just overall endurance, carrying weight. This particular setup I'm carrying right now, between my pack, which weighs about 45 pounds, and then this chest rig, which I'm wearing a little low, but between all of that, you know, I'm carrying somewhere upwards of 50 pounds right now, which is certainly not any large amount of weight. But walking through wet snow is kind of similar to walking through dry sand. You know, it's greatly increases the difficulty of moving your feet and puts a lot more work on the legs. So all in all, just walking around with 50 plus pounds in snow like this is pretty good, and then going up and down hills definitely adds to the challenge. And I would maintain that when it comes to doing a ruck, that the elevation changes and the uneven ground definitely adds to the functionality. It's one thing to get out and walk on a track or a nice flat rail trail or something like that, but it's entirely different when you're on very uneven ground and lots of up and down and side hills and everything. It does a lot more for your overall balance and full body workout. And then just to address one of the things that I see a lot of, and when functional comes up, is the whole functional movement pattern thing, and people pushing for this thing, a quadrupedal movement, and you know, trying to get back to their, you know, I don't know, whatever primeval, you know, evolutionary stuff and whatever. And I don't buy into that at all. I do occasionally do different types of crawls and stuff, but mainly just because it works some different muscles and can be fun at times. But I don't at all buy into the idea that that's necessary for functional training. I believe that humans were created to walk upright, and that is the natural way for us, and I think it's far more functional and useful to train for movement in that manner. There's certainly nothing magical about crawling around or doing different strange movements like that. I mean, we do have basic movement patterns that apply to everybody, you know, the hinge and the squat and pushing and pulling and stuff. And it's good to train all of those. I mean, the squat pattern just is useful every time you sit down and get up from a chair. And the hinge can be very useful for picking things up off the ground, and you know, and so on. I like to include a bunch of those, but I guess to summarize, you know, what I'm saying though is the main thing is just that well-rounded combination of strength and conditioning. You know, use whatever implements are useful for getting stronger. You know, I personally use barbells frequently, and trap bar, which is a variation of a barbell, and kettlebells and sandbag and body weight calisthenics and weighted vest, and you know, there's no end to the variety that you can do. But then it's also very important just to continue to work on the cardio and the conditioning, because you know, just everybody's life is different, and the demands on your body will depend on that. But you know, most people need to do at least some walking and possibly some hauling weight around, like whether it's when you're getting groceries or, you know, if an emergency comes up, being able to pick up something and haul it around, or push a vehicle out of the road. You know, there's many different things that could come up in life, and being strong and well conditioned make all of that easier. Obviously, I'm starting to get a little bit short of breath again. I noticed on my recent camp out, when I hiked up the hill, first with my hand cart and then later on with my pack, that I've kind of been slacking on the conditioning during the summer for a variety of reasons. I just had way too much going on in my life and too many things to do, and neglected that conditioning, and now I'm paying the consequences. But at least I have the opportunity to work on that, get out and hike around and get out of breath, but gradually improve that again, because pretty soon it'll be snowshoe season, and it's quite possible that I could get called out on a search and rescue and need to go hike around in the snow. So being able to do this is important for that as well. But anyway, I guess I've rambled on enough, but that's my general point, is that functional fitness doesn't need to be anything fancy. It doesn't need to involve some special system that only certain people can coach. It's all about just working to get stronger and more fit and flexible and so on, and just be useful in all facets of physical activity in life. So that's my thoughts on the topic. This has been Republic Jim. I'll talk to you later.